a true guy. You'll have a true time. Tell, Cockerel, leave your troubles at the door. You know the game, you know the score. We're here to have fun, so holster that gun and read the writing on the wall. The Predictions League, done every week. It just goes on and 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 on. Why do I always get it wrong? Tell, Cockerel. He's just a chill guy. You'll have a chill time. Tell, Cockerel. Jose gets himself around, always talking Spurs wherever he is found, home or away. He always tips to win, throws the form book in the bin with a cheeky knowing grin. Tell, Cockerel. He's just a chill guy. You'll have a chill time. Tell, Cockerel. The Predictions League, done every week. It just goes on and on and on and on. Why do I always get it wrong every time I play along? Tell, Cockerel. The show is so chilled, your time is well filled. If you want good friendly chat, then here's where it's at. Tell, Cockerel. Goes on and 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 on. Why do I always get it wrong? Tell, Cockerel. The show is so chill, your time is well filled. If you want good friendly chat, then here's where it's at. Tell, Cockerel.
Morning. Welcome all to Tell Cockerel. I hope everybody is well in the world, whether it's your morning, your afternoon, or your evening. Yes, back after 3 weeks away. Since my last show, I'm back. This show's called The DeBrief, so I'll be talking about things that have happened in the last 3 weeks that I've noticed. And also to advise people that the competitions are back. Yes, the 3 competitions on Tell Cockerel are back. I will put the banners up, but I've also put the links into the chat. So we have the Premier League Predict the Football. I've reset it. And the reason, well, no, I'll explain that in a minute. Let me say hello to the one and only person that was watching, who I think is now gone, and that was Daz. So I don't think I've got anyone watching at the moment. It's a shame, really, because it's a sign of the times. Either I'm too boring, I'm not worth watching, I'm not worth engaging out there. And to be quite honest, if it continues to be like this, then I would actually stop doing this. But we'll wait and see what happens. But yeah, I've set everything up. I'd much rather save my money, to be honest, and not have to pump money into this if I'm not going to get people watching. But we'll carry on. So, Daz, says big up Jose. Good morning, Daz. If you are still here, you're not still here, then nice seeing you. I hope you're well. Um, I was meant to have someone with me this morning. I think they've now forgotten. They said to me they were coming, but it's 7 minutes past 11. They're not arrived. So, um, yeah. So we've got the three competitions that we're going to be doing this year again. First one is predict the football. I've had to change it, like I said. I've changed the link and that because we ended up with 50 players last year that were carried over from the season before. And good morning, North London Narratives. I hope you're well. It's his first time here. Big up. Good morning to you. I hope you're well. This is a free competition to enter. Um, as I said, what I did is because of the first season, we had loads of people that didn't then play the second season, but their profiles remained within the league, and therefore we had kind of a skewed league. We had people that were playing, and then we had a load of people on zero who didn't play the following season. So I've recreated the league. So this is now the new LTEL Predict the Football League. For those that don't know, this is interactive. So you do it on. It's done by a company. You do your predictions right up until the moment of kickoff, and you score points, and it's done all automatically. They send you out the reminders every week to remind you of how many points you scored, and also to remind you to re-predict for the following week. So that is predictthefootball.com, and there's your code to enter. It's in the description as well. And then also we have the Fantasy Football League. So the LTL Cockerel Fantasy Football League. For those that are going to be new playing, this is the code and this is the link that gets you there. It's free of charge to play this one. Um, and yeah, so you're more than welcome to join in and play. I will put these codes back out there again shortly. Um, And what else we got? What else we got? Right. So the thumbnail. The thumbnail showed a picture of three players. First and foremost, need to talk about the World Cup. I know it's finished a week ago. However, although it's finished a week ago, I've kept my powder dry. I kept my powder dry during the World Cup, and more or less everything I've sort of like said came to pass. First and foremost, congratulations to Spain. They won it. Deserved winners. Best team in the tournament by a country mile. Grew into the tournament a bit like 2010. In 2010, we lost our first game by a goal to nil, and then we grew into that tournament. And basically, Argentina and Holland, who we faced in both respective finals, both did the same thing. Came out to stink the finals out. Spain beat Holland in 2010 through an Iniesta extra time goal. But this time round, it was Ferran Torres that got the victory. Um, North London Narratives has joined the Football Premier League. Join them both, North London Narratives. Join the Predict the Football as well. It's good fun. It's good fun. It's free to enter. It's all online. It's free to enter. The code's there. Um, yeah, so I believe, I mean, for me, the final that I wanted, obviously, with having Spanish and English family, is I wanted Spain England in the final. Um, I think England, had they got to the final, would have posed different problems to Argentina because some games there's horses for courses. However, it wasn't to be. I believe that Thomas Tuchel gave away um, England's chance of reaching the final. I think Thomas Tuchel, the first two substitutions he made when he was 1-0 up, although they were defending quite a bit, the first two substitutions he made were both defensive substitutions, which meant they fell into a back seven. It wasn't even a back five; it was a back seven because Elliot Anderson was defending for his life as well as the defenders that they brought on. Um, they fell into a back seven. At the time of watching the game live, I was saying to my family they need to take Bellingham off and Harry Kane. and they need to bring up players on that can stretch the pitch. I would have bought on Ollie Watkins. I would have bought on um, Bukayo Saka, and I would have bought on um, Rashford, Saka, and Ollie Watkins to stretch the pitch. Um, so at the end of the day, them three players, if they had brought them on, it would have stretched for me. It would have stretched the pitch, and so for me, it was Tuchel that lost England a chance of getting to the final. In saying that, when Argentina went 1-0 down, and he made them defensive substitutions, Argentina came out to play, and they didn't look a bad side when they came out to play. When they forgot all their antics of kicking and chopping up trees and stuff like that, then it made a difference. Um, but yeah, alas, it wasn't to be. They didn't get to the final that I wanted. So Spain did, but England didn't. Um, the third and fourth place game was quite a funny game because it was two attacks versus two defences. Um, England changed their team quite a bit, probably as much as what France did, and it's quite a shock that England were 4-0 up at half time. But then, soon as France made them substitutions right at the beginning of the second half, we thought, okay, they're going to step it up a notch. I did not expect England to concede 4 goals in the second half, though. But England scored a further 2 goals. They won the game 6-4. That will live long in the memory. England finished third, highest finish since 1996. So congratulations to England for that. I'm not sure because I've not seen anything released at the moment by FIFA or UEFA, whoever it may be that does the seedings and the rankings. But with the top four reached the semi-final, and with the top four reaching the semi-final, I would suggest that they would remain the top four going forward in the new seedings. But I think the seedings were Argentina, Spain, France, England. With France now losing 2 games at the World Cup because they lost to Spain and they lost the third and fourth place playoff. Um, and England only lost 1 game in the World Cup, and because England only lost 1 game in the World Cup, does that now mean um, that England will overtake France and probably be third in the rankings? I'm not sure. Um, so you got Kuva and Shem have just Kuva and Shem have joined. Kuva Shem, let's predict the football, and for Daz, free of charge. You know the score. I'm just explaining. I've had to change the league because people that played the first year automatically were enrolled for the second season and some didn't play. So we had a league table that showed quite a few zeros in there. So I've reset the whole league, and to join up, this is the code for Predict the Prem. And I've also put in there the fantasy football. The fantasy football's in there as well. So join the codes and come and join. Kuba says, big up, Jose. Good morning to you, Kuva. Hope you and the boys are well, sir. Nice to see you here, and nice to see you full stop. Says, I could join the leagues, but I always forget about them after a couple of weeks. I think I had Wissett in my team all last season, last time. Who knows? You might pick a team that you won't have to change for the whole season. Shentam says, good morning, Jose. Hope you're well and the family are good. Nice to see you again. Yeah, I'm here. The family are well. I'm here and for a week. I'm doing this show now because the season's going to be upon us. So the live predictions is still going to happen. I've got a feeling that I might do a show a week before the predictions and then we start the predictions. But I will be in Spain next week. So I'm going to go and see my mum again. So I will be going to Spain for 9 days. So I'll be away from next Friday. Um, so I think I'm away while Spurs are playing some friendly games. But it is what it is. Sorry, my daughter was messaging me because I'm trying to find my mother a present to take over. Yeah, so the predictions league will return. Kuba says Yep, England deserved to lose Argentina. You don't just sit back with no attacking intent against some of the world's best players. I expected us to crack, but I thought it would go to extra time. I didn't. As soon as I saw the substitutions, I said to my family who I was watching it with, um, and that I was going mad because I wanted England to win the game. Um, and I was saying, they've with all the players that they've substituted, I just felt that Argentina were going to come back in the game. When they scored their goal in the 85th minute, I still thought they were going to go and get another one. If things didn't change, they were going to go and get another one, and they did. And after scoring their second goal, he brings on Ivan Toney and Marcus Rashford. And for people that watch the game, yeah, to bring them on, I saw Ivan Toney and they were pumping the ball up. Obviously, England had gone route one. They sent Dan Burn up there. I'm going to start with Ivan Toney first. Ivan Toney, every time they put the ball up in the air to the forward line, it went near him. He ducked like that to try and the defender was going over him and he was ducking. It didn't win one thing. Ivan Toney, waste of space. Don't know why they took him. But in saying that, don't know why they took anyone else because Thomas Tuchel was so set on Harry Kane playing every single minute that whoever you took, doesn't matter who you took, whoever you took, uh, you were never going to get a chance of playing. And Dan Burn was sent up front. And when he was sent up front, Nicholas Otamendi, he's got to be at least a foot shorter than Dan Burn, was eating him in the air for fun. So, yeah. But at the end of the day, England didn't get there. Spain did. And I said in the semi-finals, to those that would listen to me, all I heard in the semi-finals, I heard France, Argentina, England, France, Argentina, England, France, Argentina, France cooking, Argentina, England, Argentina, England, France. No one was talking about Spain. And I said to people that would listen to me at the time before the semi-final, I said, listen, Spain are European champions. I said, Spain will keep the ball for fun. And providing they can put their chances that they get away, then France ain't going to get much at all because they're not going to have much of the ball. This was evidenced in the game against Portugal. Portugal had Vitinha and João Neves, who are part of the PSG triumvirate that have dominated the Champions League for the last two seasons. And they had in their triumvirate for Portugal, they had Bruno Fernandes, three what you would say decent level players, and the three Portuguese midfielders. And in fact, the whole Portuguese team couldn't even get near Spain. Spain only won the game 1-0, but Spain absolutely knocked the door down and they had next to no possession. And I thought to myself, a mixture of Rabiot, Chouameni, and whoever the third midfielder was going to be, or Rabiot, Coney, and whoever the third midfielder was going to be, would never get nowhere near Spain. And as I said, as I kept saying, Spain have been written off, but all they'll do is they'll keep the ball for fun, and if they can put their chances away, Spain will win that match. And it happened. That's the way it panned out. And for us in Tottenham thoughts, what a second goal in the game by Pedro Porro. He's 1-2, absolutely excellent play, and Pedro Porro puts the ball away to make it 2-0. And Pedro Porro deservedly got into the team of the tournament. Best right back by a country mile in the tournament. Um, yeah, so we kind of got a player on our hands there. So as the thumbnail shows Pedro Porro holding the World Cup because that's what I haven't spoken about for the last 3 weeks. So Shemte says, do you have to set your team up first before joining the league? I'm not sure, Shem. I'm not sure, but you can do an auto pick. You can do an auto pick just for the time being to get a team into the league. And then after you've done your auto pick, if you don't like some of the players that you've got, then change it. I think to create the league, I did an auto and then I had to change my team around. But until the day the Premiership kicks off, you can change your team around as much as you want. So obviously there are going to be players. I would have thought there's going to be some movement with players. Players will be bought into clubs. Players will be signed from different clubs, from different leagues. So I would have thought in all honesty, that you should be able to change the team right up until the day of kickoff. Is what my thoughts are. So, but yeah, as I said, I think I picked an auto pick, and then changed my team around after that. I hope that helps you, mate. I hope that helps you. Um, yeah. So going back to in the final, yeah, again, Argentina couldn't get near Spain. I think Messi was nullified without being marked, so to speak. Um, yeah, they were nullified. They were nullified without even trying, because of the amount of possession they had on the ball. Um, so at the end of the day, yes, Spain won the World Cup. I get my new Spain top being delivered. It's one of my birthday presents from my daughter, because my birthday's on Thursday, and it's one of the birthday presents. My daughter actually bought me the Spain away top, the Tottenham home top, and the Tottenham away top for this season. So it's 3 tops for my birthday from my daughter, which I am waiting with glee for them to arrive. But yeah, Spain, worthy winners. As Kuba says here, Spain only conceded. Oh, can I show that? Yeah, Spain only conceded 1 goal in the tournament. It was indeed odd that nobody seemed to mention them. For me. It wasn't. They're not mentioning Cuba. For me, it's the semi-finals. In the semi-finals, there's 4 teams left, and you're both playing 1 game each to try and reach the final. And the fact that no one was talking about Spain and they were talking about the other 3 absolutely made me laugh. I was roaring with that. So, yeah, I was absolutely roaring with that. But yeah, best team, as I said, best team won. No shadow of a doubt. Best team won. And on we pop. Tottenham. Tottenham. What can I say about Tottenham? Um, sorry. What can I say about Tottenham? Um, Daz, you've put a couple in there. I'll answer them in soon. But with Tottenham, I did a show about 3 weeks ago, and the show showed my thumbnail had the 6 players that we signed, and then it had, I don't know, 4, 5, 6 players that were linked with 3 weeks ago. Some of them we're still linked with now. And I did turn around at the time and I said, 6 players have come in. I don't think Tottenham are going to be signing any players in the near future. I think it's going to be about the World Cup finishing, getting a squad together for pre-season, having a look, and starting to get rid of some players before we go and bring some further players in. And that has transpired, because I did the show 3 weeks ago, and in 3 weeks we haven't signed a player since I last did my show. Yet, and I know content's got a content and agenda's got an agenda, but yet I see loads of shows going out there. Um, oh, have we signed anyone yet? Are we signing anyone? Uh, we're linked to this player, that player, the other. We're fed up with this, that, and the other. I've kept my powder dry for 3 weeks. I see a lot of stuff out there with links to everybody in the world, and I just think to myself, follow the evidence, think for yourselves, and follow the evidence. Um, and to me, what I see is, look, the facts are we've bought 6 players in. What do the 6 players have in common that we've bought in? They've all got Premiership experience. So when we're linked with Johnny Kickerball, Carlos Kickerball, Yodan Kickerball, all these players from around the world, I think to myself, the only way that we're going around the world looking for any players is if you've exhausted all your avenues in bringing Premiership proven players in that you have on your list, and they are your A choices. If you're then diverting away to B and C choices, then you might be looking outside of the Premiership. But for me, I think the proof's in the pudding so far, and I think that the players that we are looking at will be those players that have got Premiership experience. If we aren't able to get these players across the line, then I think they will then go down the route of looking at players away from the Premiership. So when you see links with the likes of Savino, Krupi Jr., um, and players like that, then to me, I understand why. I understand why we're linked to these kind of players because they're Premiership proven. However, then when we're linked to people like, or sorry, when people put 2 and 5 together and come up with 53. Good morning, Si. I hope you're well, sir. Nice to see you. Nice to see you, Si. I hope you and the family are well, mate. Hope you and the family are well. But when we're linked to players like Rafael Leao, Dusan Vlahovic, Antonio Nusa, don't know, there was a guy the other day from, I think he was Bosnian or Albanian, Mehmemovic, and all these players, I think to myself, people are just throwing these names out there because, to me, as I said, follow the facts and the evidence show me we're looking for Premiership proven players. If we then run out of Premiership proven players, then or we can't get Premiership proven players that we've got on our list, and we've got others outside of the Premiership, then we'll look at them. But I think first and foremost, they're going to look at Premiership proven players. So it's quite interesting when I see lots of shows and lots of Twitter and lots of social media linking Tottenham to, as I said, all these players that do not play in the Premiership. I think to myself, there's no point following this because I don't think this is going to happen. Sigh, because you just come. Sigh, predict the football. There's the code, mate. It's in the link in the chat, but I've also put it in the description of the show. But I've had to change the Predict the Football League. I've had to change it and reset it because there was a lot of people still in this last season that weren't playing, and so they kept appearing on the league table. So I've had to reset it all so everyone joins from new. So everyone that's playing will be everyone that's playing basically. So the code's there, and also for the Premier League, um, yeah, the Fantasy Premier League, there's the code for LTEL Cockerel's League. If you're in it already, you probably can auto rejoin. But if you're new to it, then there's the code for you guys if you're new to it. But yeah, I will be saying a bit more about this to everyone and trying to get people to come on board. Yeah, so as I said, so for me, um, yeah, we've got, what have we got left? We've got a month to go. Um, we've got a month to go. I'm going to star some of these because you're asking me questions, and I am going to answer the question. So star that one, and I'm going to star size one. So I've starred 2 for Daz and 1 for Sai. I will answer these. So yeah, for me, now obviously it's interesting because I did any of you hardy souls stay up or not go to sleep at all and watch the Tottenham game? I didn't. I went to bed. I didn't watch it. I got up this morning and saw the result. So I got up just before 8 o'clock in this morning and I saw the result, and that was enough for me. I read a couple of reports on it. I didn't stop to watch it. What I will say, importantly, is that I have Spurs play as part of my season ticket. You get Spurs play free of charge, so you don't have to pay the 45 quid. So I get Spurs play free of charge. I logged into Spurs play on Saturday. Was it Saturday that we played MK Dons? No, last Wednesday for MK Dons, and it just kept buffering. It was absolutely crap. And I've seen a lot of people say that it's been awful. Um, I think the same happened overnight against Auckland FC for people with Spurs play. I think a lot of people found it difficult to watch it on there. So yeah, I think they might have to fix the bugs that they've got in Spurs play to improve. If you're going to pay for something, you need to improve it and make sure it works for people because it doesn't seem to have been working. But yeah, it's interesting that some of the players, you had a lot of first team players out there, and lots of them did not play in the second half yesterday. I think out of the out of the players, the first team players, if I recall, I think Mateus Fernandes came on in the second half, but not straight away. He came on quite late in the second half. Conor Gallagher came on. Matthias Tell came on. Richarlison came on. I'm not even sure if Andy Robertson came on, but it appears that and to me it's sensible. And I'm going to say this now. To me it's sensible, but it appears that Tottenham or Roberto De Zerbi in the camp are easing players in. So they've looked at players' workloads, right? They've looked at players' workloads and they're easing the players in. So Tonali didn't get minutes yesterday. It appears that Madison and Udogie were training separately, and there are rumours and there are rumourings out there that Udogie's injured again. Hence why Keo Ryan Martin got the whole game the other day. Sai says Solomon looked good. Good morning, Ronnie, mate. I hope you're well. Ronnie, in the links are in the chat for the competitions that we're doing this year. First one is there. Predict the football. And there's the code. I had to change this, Ronnie, so I've refreshed the whole league. Archer's here. Good morning, Archer. So there's the Predict the Prem football is there. There's the code for that. The link is in the chat as well. And then Fantasy Premier League, the link is in the chat, and that is a code if you're wanting to join the Hotel Cockerel League. Yeah, so it's interesting that they're easing players back in. Kudos for those that heard Roberto De Zerbi. He said that kudos will be. Although I'd already seen prior to Roberto De Zerbi talking yesterday in the presser, I'd already seen something on X from someone. It might have been Sezi or someone like that that turned around and said that kudos will be fit and available for the first game of the Premiership against Brentford. They just left him back as a precaution to do some extra work, but he will be involved when the side come back from New Zealand and Australia. So that's good news. And they reckon that they'll be assessing Decky in the next couple of weeks to see when he's returning, because the last report that was on Decky was that Decky would return before the end of the first half of the season. So when you're saying that before the end of the first half of the season, that's a long way away, because the end of the first half of the season, a lot of people would say is December, January time. So, and they said he could be back any time during the first half of the season. So we'll wait and see on that. But yeah, Madison was training on his own, and it looks like they're easing players back in order not to have and not to try and sustain the injuries that we've had for the last 3 seasons. Every club gets injuries. We're not the only ones. We're not immune to this. Every club gets injuries, but it appears that Tottenham, with the De Zerbi and with the people that have been bought in, it looks like they're doing things slightly different, and that they've got, instead of us saying everyone, you go out there, Bosch, and kick on. It's pre-season. It looks like they've got plans for each individual player going forward to try and ease them all the way in. So yeah, it's interesting to see. Good morning, Aussie Ange. I hope you're well, Aussie Ange. Archer says that he. Good morning, Jose. Only just saw you're on. Was watching the Two Mark show. Good to see you, fella. Thank you very much, Archer. And then he says, I've got my first draft of my FPMT already. We'll probably make a couple of changes before the deadline, depending on transfer injuries. In order to enter the league, all you got to do is do an auto pick. Archer, just do an auto pick and then change your team around before the first game of the season. Aussie Ange says, hello, Your Honour. Your Honour, this is the season where we can compete for the domestic treble. No, Europe is massive for us. I'm going to repeat again to people that are joining at the moment. We have these competitions going ahead. The Premier League, predictthefootball.com, and there's a code to enter the Hotel Cockerel League. The link is in the description. The link's also in the chat. And oh, I am showing it on the chat. And uh, Fantasy Premier League, there is the link for the Fantasy Premier League, and there is the code to join. You are more than welcome. Both of them are free of charge to join, and you are most welcome to join. What is this? Archer says, I don't use the auto pick. I have certain players I build my team around. Look, Archer, as I said, the easiest way for people at the moment is doing the auto pick and then changing your team around. Some of the players that you want to build your team around might be in your auto pick. It's just a way of getting your team in to the competition, but then you've got 4 weeks to change your team and build your team. It was just an easy way of doing it. Yeah, so I expect my expectations are and I can't remember. I have to look now. Right. My expectations are, if I can see where we are, and as a good thing is, it just shows me the fixtures for the season. Yeah. Let me have a look at them so I can tell you my expectations. Tottenham pre-season fixtures. Does that mean Tottenham are not playing for a whole week? Right. If this is correct, oh, let me have a look at this. I'm not sure what's going on here. Okay, here we go. Right. Spurs play. I don't want Spurs play. Right, Spurs play again. Sorry, I'm just looking at this. Spurs play again. Right, Spurs play again on Wednesday, the 29th at 10:45 in the morning. They play against Sydney, and that's in the Allianz Stadium in Sydney. Then they play on Saturday, the 1st of August. That again is at 10:45, and that's from a different stadium in Sydney. Then the following week, on Saturday, the 8th of August, Tottenham are at home to Getafe in a friendly at Hotspur Way. And then the week after that, we're only playing in chunks of weeks after next weekend, and that will be against Hoffenheim at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. And then they play the following day against Hoffenheim at Hotspur Way. And then the league starts on the 22nd. We're away at Brentford. So, what I will say, and my thoughts are looking at the squad that Tottenham have taken. So, looking at the first 2 games, and looking at the first 2 games and the squad that Tottenham have taken to um, to the pre-season tour. I looked at the names of 35 names on that list, and then I looked at the ones that hadn't gone, and for whatever reasons and that. And I looked there and I thought to myself, "Oh my God, we look so light. We look so light." And then the other side of me says we still got a month to sort this out. Well, we've got a bit more. We've got about 6 weeks, haven't we? 6 weeks to sort this out. But the league starts in 4 weeks, right? But you've got 6 weeks to sort it out till the transfer window closes. But the league starts in the next 4 weeks. I expect Tottenham to ramp up, and I would expect within the next 10 days. So beyond the Chelsea game, before the game on the 8th of August against Getafe, right? I would expect Tottenham to have made more signings, because the one thing, although it was the second goal was scored by Richie yesterday and it was nice play by Tell, we are so I mean, it's obvious. I'm not teaching you guys how to suck eggs, but it's so obvious that we are so woefully short up front. It's painful because everybody, whether we're supporters, whether we're foes from other teams, whether we're um, whether we're the the average fan who's not biased and that, we are so woefully short. It is unbelievable, and we need to buy some more players. We need to. Um, there are some players out there. Um, I wouldn't say that our midfield is sorted though, Archer. I wouldn't, in all honesty. Um, and the reason why I say that and my thoughts around that is beyond beyond Tonali and Fernandez being your two centre midfield starters. Who's your third midfielder? Who are they starting with? Who's that third midfielder? Now, if them three midfielders, so let's say for argument's sake, right? Let's say for argument's sake, let's call it Madison's the third midfielder. With all the things that are up in the air at the moment with our midfield, right? What three midfielders do you bring in? If you sustained any injuries or you had to swap out the three that I've just mentioned, who do you bring in? So if you had to swap out Tonali, Fernandez, Madison, who do you bring in? And does your level stay the same or does it drop off dramatically? That's where I say I'm not sure about the midfield being sorted out. Now, if you turn around and said to me, right, that we had money to burn because we sold players and all this with these cash injections and the money that we get from revenues and that, if you said to me we're going to go out and sign Morgan Gibbs White, Alex Scott, Junior Krupi and Savino, let's say for argument's sake, I would then say to you the midfield is sorted. Defensively, yeah, we've got two right backs, two left backs, two right centre backs, two left centre backs. But in the midfield, I fear the massive drop off. I just feel the massive drop off in midfield. And also as well with that, our midfield's up in the air. People are saying that Saar, Bergvall, Bentancur, some of these could leave. Now, whether they left or not, in the way that Mr. De Zerbi wants to play, right? I'm just a bit wary that there'll be a massive drop off. There'll be a massive drop off. So I think our midfield needs sorting or needs a bit of beefing up. In all honesty, that's my thoughts. But up front, we are woefully short. Now, with the up front side of it, we know that Kudos remained at home to get fitter. Right. Um, yeah, we know that that Kudos has remained behind to get fitter. So you could say that's your right hand sorted. Who the rotational right sided player will be, I don't know, but that's your right side sorted. At the moment, it looks like it's Tell down the left, and you've got Solanke up front. Solanke looked woeful against MK Dons. Richarlison looked woeful against MK Dons. Richarlison got his goal yesterday. Um, we just do. If we're going to go the whole hog, we do need to upgrade. Now, the one thing I will say, and I said this at the time, and I've said it a while ago, it's like having a crystal ball. I'm not telling you how to think, you think for yourselves. But my thoughts were Tottenham made these signings, the 6 signings that they did at the start of the window, right? And everyone was leaping and jumping up and down, going, wee! And rightly so, rightly so. We should be applauding what Tottenham have done, going in early and getting players early. However, the fact that the World Cup has just ended, right, and that all other teams are beginning to make movements now, right, and beginning to sign players and will sign players means that we were catching up to where teams were, right, but teams will now go away and elevate themselves even further. I haven't done it as yet, right? I don't think they've done it as yet. I mean, I look at Man United signings, the two they made in midfield. Have they elevated themselves in signing the two midfielders they're signing? I don't believe they have. Yeah, good players, needle movers for Man U. in Santos and who's the other boy they bought? Santos and Tielemans. I'm not sure whether they're needle movers. Good buys, but not needle movers. Aston Villa, the bits and pieces Aston Villa are doing, are they needle movers? They've made bits and pieces, and they've still got 4 to 6 weeks to go. Um, Newcastle needle movers, yeah. I don't know whether they're needle movers, but again, another 4 to 6 weeks to go, and then Liverpool have got a dip in the market. Man City have only bought one player. Arsenal have only bought one player, and this is the time where if you want to press home your advantage that you've got, because we have made the jump on a few teams, and I will say that the 6 that we've bought in, we've made a jump on a few teams. But if you want to really elevate that jump, then I would say you'd need to find, what do you say, 80, 160, 240. I think you need to find another 320 million pounds. If you could find another 320 million pounds, right? Bearing in mind we're selling players and there's talk about other players to be sold, without selling any more players, if we had 320 mil to spend, and there's a lot of people saying that we've got 250. Well, if you made 17 sales and you had 320, my magic number would be go out and buy your Alex Scott, go out and get your Morgan Gibbs White. Your midfield is then sorted for both depth and sorted for the next 5 years minimum. Yeah, providing they play well, because everyone has a ceiling and everyone has a value. But go out and get them 2 midfielders, and that means your midfielders then sorted. Go out and get the 2 that you need. Go and get your left winger if that's what you need. Go and get your forward if that's what you need. Um, whether that's Savinho and Krupi. Listen, I've mentioned 4 players there, and what have the 4 players got in common? They're all Premiership proven. And like I keep saying, and I'll go back to this, right? And I'll carry on harping back. When I see links with players from foreign leagues, right, and the players from foreign leagues that I see, right, that are being linked, I'm thinking to myself, the facts and the evidence show that we've got the process that we've done is we've brought 6 players in with Premiership experience. So we are looking at the Premiership. You know, obviously we've got to look at some homegrown as well, and looking at the players that we're linked. If we bought in Morgan Gibbs White and you bought in an Alex Scott to bolster your midfield, then that's 2 more English players. You're helping yourself out in the long run. Archer says Madison in the 10, Gallagher to come off the bench to high press tiring defenders. I'm just not sure whether 3 had to come off, who the 3 would be that comes on whether we dip. That's all I'm saying. How can we be bad up front? We have an England international, a Brazilian international up front. We're scoring 100 goals this season, says Shemtam. Yep. Go on, Shem. Archer says Gallagher and Bentancur, I think, are decent backups for Tonali and Fernandes. Tonali and Fernandes would play totally differently to Tonali. Sorry, Gallagher and Bentancur would be totally different players and a different football to what Tonali and Fernandes have been brought into play. Ronnie says, I would like Morgan Gibbs White, Liao, and Krupi. Ronnie, as I said, I look at Tottenham, and I think the only way Tottenham go for Liao is if they exhaust the Premiership players that they're looking at to play that wide in that wide left position. If they exhaust it and they can't bring in the players from the Premiership, then they might look outside. But for me, they're looking at Premiership proven first and foremost. The facts is there with the 6 players we brought in. Archer says Richardson needs to be forcibly frog marched out of the foot club. Ronnie says we need to ship Vicario Romero, Saar Bergval and Ritchie. I'm not sure about Bergval. I agree with the other 4. I'm not sure about Bergval. Um, Free for all. Good afternoon, free for all. Nice to see you. It's been a while. I'd love Krupi. Hopefully his agent can work his magic. It is Musa Sissoko after all. Yeah, Musa Sissoko in name but not in number. Archer says it's clearly the left wing and the striker that needs to be addressed first, though. Good afternoon, Neil. I hope you're well. He says Richarlison definitely go. Do not have any confidence in him whatsoever. Good afternoon, Neil. Nice to have you here, mate. Archer says, I would like Rashford, Osimhen, and Nusa as our front three. Archer, Rashford, Premiership proven. Osimhen and Nusa, not Premiership proven. I keep saying my thoughts are, and they're only mine, but they're not. Doesn't have to be shared by you guys. But my thoughts are is that if they're looking for players at the moment to buy, they will look at Premiership proven players first and foremost. I'm going to go back again to the banners. People, it's in the chat. I've got it in the chat already, and I've also pinned it to the description of the show. But we have two games here that are free to play that we do on Hotel Cockerel. One is called Predict the Premier League Football, and it's where you predict the results from the Premier League week in, week out. It's done automatically. They remind you of your fixtures, they remind you, and they give you your points tally and stuff like that. And it's all done nice and easy, clean cut. Please come and join. You're welcome to. It's free of charge. It's there. It's on the banner there, but it's in the show, in the chat, and it is also in the description. And the other game that we play here, Fantasy Premier, the Barclays Fantasy Premier, the world famous Barclays Fantasy Premier League, the Hotel Cockerel League, is there's the code to join it. You're more than welcome to join it. It's free of charge, and the links are in the chat, and the links are in the description. And now let me go back to, and the other thing I was going to say to people, if you can, kindly, if you haven't done so already, give us a like, give us a sub, give us a share, a comment. I try to read out all the comments. I am fair that way. Regardless of what your comment is, I always try to read them out. So your voice is heard. Or, sorry, so your comment is not only written, but it's already uh, spoken by me as well. It's good that all six signings are so far proven, but also shows our scouting network is shoddy. I don't know about the scouting network being shoddy. I just think that there's a time and a place, Archer. And I think what we've done is we've always relied on the scouting network, and it hasn't worked. And Mr. Deserby's come in, and he's doing it his own way, isn't he? Mr. Deserby's come in, and he's doing it his own way, and we will see. Why are these all showing? I'm trying to get these to stop. Right, hide that one. Ah, the banners are up. That's why. Um, yeah, as I said, we're just going down a different route, aren't we? We're just going down a different route. We're trying to bring players in that are proven. We're going down a different route. So I fully expect within the next, what are we today? The 20, right. The 8th of August is in 2 Saturdays' time, right? And that's when we play Getafe. I expect Tottenham to have made signings between now and the Getafe game. That's my expectation. And also, players we've moved on only if you can come to agreements quite quickly with them. People like Romero, if Romero's going, people like Vicario, I don't know how easy it's going to be to do them deals because the league that they fancy to go to don't have the money to pay outright, according to the reports. Don't have the money to pay outright unless we drop our asking prices dramatically, and I mean dramatically. So it depends. Them deals could or couldn't be done. The list that you showed earlier, Ronnie, and I'm going to talk about this. So Ronnie says, so I don't know whether people have heard, but I don't know whether people have seen the interview that Kinksky did at the end of the season. It's either at the end of the season or when he signed the new contract. He's done an interview, and it's not on. It wasn't done through Tottenham, so it wasn't done through Spurs play. It was done through a reporter, and I think it was at the stadium. So it could have well been right at the. It could have been at the end of the season, and it was quite telling. Kinksky did a interview, and I'm not going to paraphrase because I can't remember word for word we said, but he sort of like he's intimated that Vicario wasn't a team player, so to speak, with the rest of the goalkeeping staff. It seemed to be all about Vicario, and Vicario didn't really get involved with helping out um, Kinski, Brandon Austin, and it was all about him, and he wasn't really a team player. And Kinski thanked. It was at the end of the season. It was at the end of the season. Kinski, and it might have been after the Everton game. Kinski thanked everybody, the coaching staff, Brandon Austin, even Luca Gunn, all the other goalkeepers thanked absolutely everybody, for him obviously coming back from what happened with Atletico Madrid, then playing the final games with De Zerbi. Vicario was back fit, not selected. It was all about Kinski playing all the way through to the end of the season. And he thanked everybody. And it was the cryptic things that he was saying. And it looks like Vicario wasn't a team player. And in fact, Vicario is more a disruptor, if you read between the lines. The same is being said about Romero. Now, how much of this is true, I don't know, because I don't sit inside Tottenham Hotspur. I'm not in the changing rooms. I'm not at the training ground. I'm not involved with the first team, with the coaching staff or anything. And sometimes, you're not going to turn around. And I think even Arteta. I'm going to talk about even Arteta. When Arteta was getting rid of what they called their bad eggs, so when he got rid of your Ozils, your Bamiyangs and stuff like that, he never bad-mouthed them at all, but he moved them on. And I think the managers have not bad-mouthed Vicario, Romero. And bear in mind that Vicario and Romero haven't played for De Zerbi, but De Zerbi's spoken highly about both of them. Um, Thomas Frank spoke highly about both of them. Ange Postecoglou spoke highly about both these players, so on and so forth. But it appears by both lots of reports that these two guys are negative and are disruptors. And it's quite interesting because they were part of the captains group, weren't they? Or the leadership group, if you like. It was these two that were part of that. Now, another person who's part of their group, or deemed to be part of their group, but not outwardly known as one of the leaders, but would be someone like Bentancur. Now, is Bentancur a disruptor? Because there's a lot there's a lot of talking going on, and lots of people out there saying that Bentancur could be one of the ones that's being sold rather than Bergvall. So yeah, no one really knows what's happening behind closed doors, but I do expect that Tottenham will up the ante. They will up the ante on getting more players in by the Getafe game. So in the next 2 weeks, I expect Tottenham to be signing players. And in the meantime, some players will go. Some players will not go till right to the end of the window, will not leave till right at the end of the window. I just hope that our signings don't go right to the end of the window. It's all right, I suppose, if you get an opportunistic signing at the end of the window, one that too good to refuse. That but other than that, I'd expect them to give De Zerbi what he needs and bulk up that squad in the next 2 weeks. I am a believer of doing what we did in the first part of the window, where we saw gaps, we went and got these gaps filled. So the two centre halves, the left back, the goalkeeper, the two midfielders, gaps, went, filled them. Didn't worry about, oh, do you know what? We haven't sold Vuskovic yet. Oh, do you know what? We haven't sold Will Lancashire yet. Some of the players that we've sold, we didn't worry about that. We bought the players in, and that's what we should be doing as a club. Don't worry about the players that you still got. Get what you need in, and then what ends up happening is if you end up with 30 players in your squad and you can only register 23, 24, 25, depending on homegrowns and the issues that you've got there, then so be it. And then there are going to be some people that will not get a squad place. We're not in Europe this year, so only one squad needs to be picked, and that squad is a squad for the Premier League. Other than that, if you're not in the Premier League squad, then what chance have you got of playing? So, I think that we should carry on. Unlike in the past where we sold players and we didn't buy players because we had to move players on, and invariably we didn't move on. Now we should just go and buy players. So when you then say we went out and bought two forwards, so to speak, and we turned around and we said to Richarlison, right, you're not going to be in our plans this season. Well, then Richarlison just sits on that bench. He's not going to get a chance of playing. He's not in the squad for the Premiership, which means you're going to get next to no minutes at all. And therefore, you have to make that decision. Either you're going to be a lazy git and just sit on your backside. Now, if he's got any intention, personal, if he's got any personal goal to get back into the Brazilian squad, now whether he's good enough or not, that's another matter. I'm not Brazilian, and I'm not the manager. And some managers seem to like Richarlison in the squad. But if he's got any personal pride and wants to get back into that squad, then you've got to be playing football. So if you're told that you're not fit to be in the squad, or you're not selected to be in the squad, then would you sit on your backside and see your last year of your contract out, or would you actually move on because you've got pride? You want to make that squad, and you've got pride about yourself. So yeah, I think Tottenham should just go out, buy who they need to buy, and face up to those, because some of these players surely are being told you're not going to fit in. You're not going to get that much game time. Surely they must be being told this already. Do you need players to be brought in to further evidence what's already been said to you? At the end of the day, it comes down to pride. And if footballers have got pride and they want to continue their career, because what ends up happening is if you don't give a toss, your career stagnates. Dele Alli, sorry, mate, but your career stagnated because you didn't give a toss. Jesse Lingard, career stagnated because he didn't give a toss. And there are many, many others. Their careers stagnate because they just don't care. They've got no self pride. They've become TikTok footballers, social media footballers, and not real footballers. And therefore, you know, they need to be moved on. So, yeah, as I said, wholeheartedly, I believe Tottenham will make more signings within the next before they play Getafe, which is in 13 days' time. I expect them to make more. And as I said, the players that go out, uh, some will go out soon, and some could be they're a bit of haggling to try and get them out. Like I said, for me, Vicario and Romero, I think that the clubs that are currently looking at them from Italy haven't got the money to pay what their fees are, and are looking to do some skullduggery and jiggery pokery in order to get them in. Um, so it could end up being the loans with not obligation, loans with obligations. Not is it loans with obligations, or they changed this? No, they've taken out instead of being a loan with an obligation, it's a loan with that you will sign them permanently at the end of the season. So not an obligation where they meet X, Y, and Z. It's like you take them on loan, you pay us a loan fee now, and then you will sign for this agreed amount at the end of the season. Not you come back to us and do what Tottenham used to do and say, well, I don't want to pay that kind of money for the player, like we did with Paulinho. We've agreed with an obligation, and when it came to it, we didn't want to meet that obligation because we tried to haggle on the price for Paulinho. So these are things that them two players, especially, if they were to move to the Premiership, you could get rid of them two players like that straight away if Tottenham wanted to get rid of them. Well, firstly, you've got to have clubs in the Premiership come in for them. And then secondly, I think they would go like that, these players. But, this ain't Football Manager. So, yeah. So that's my thoughts on that. Archer says, what does Archer say? Archer's always got something to say. Jim Archer, yeah, it would be ideal to have the rest of our signings in at least to pay a part of our last 2 to 3 friendlies so they are more incorporated into the squad and up to speed to the RDZ style of play. I mean, at the end of the day, that your build-up play already, Archer, is going to be sorted. Yeah, because you're defending the midfielders you brought in. So your build-up play and getting the ball up to the forwards, right, is already sorted. Yeah, it's just the forwards then receiving the ball. Now, if you get players of a certain caliber, then although it would have been nice to have a pre-season with them, full pre-season, even a part pre-season, if they've got that caliber about them, they'll understand, and it won't take them long to understand the system and understand the methods of play and that. And then obviously with being playing only one game a week means that they're going to get a lot of time on the training pitch, aren't they? And they're going to get a lot of time on the training pitch. Um, Good afternoon. Is it afternoon? 7 minutes past midday. Graham, sir, I hope that you and the family are well. Welcome back. Nice to see you. Celebrating its 24-month member badge. Thank you very much for your continued support, Graham. Says, morning, Jose. I hope you're well, mate. I am. I am. Graham, the links are in the chat and on the description, but there is Predict the Football, Graham. I've put it in there. I've had to change. So I've wiped the league from last season and I've had to start with a new league because some of the players that played the first season that didn't play the second season were still appearing. So I've restarted it all over again. So Predict the Football has a new code and a new league. So if you wanted to join it, anyone wants to join it, the links are in the chat and they are also in the description for this stream. But that's the Predictive Football and Fantasy Premier League. Either you renew and or you enter the league. And if you want to enter the Fantasy Premier League here at LTEL, here's the code for you as well. Yeah. And as per usual, I think there's a Friday night game. I think I'm right. There is a Friday night game. I think the league opens with a Friday night game. So that means that if that's correct, it's a Friday night game. So on the 21st of August, Friday the 21st of August, live predictions. So the one that we do live for members will start on the 21st. So the new season starts on the 21st. I have to make a decision and I will probably do that the week before. And that decision is to whether I participate in the live predictions because it's a lot of work, and I'm not sure whether because what have I done? We've done these predictions live for 3 years. I came second the first year, and I came first the last 2 years. Just about squeaky bum time. Just about very close between me and Archer last year. Very close between me and Dan Coys the year before, and the year before that, I think it was Tot Spurs that won it the year before that. I think, if I remember rightly. So, and I came second. So I'm going to make a decision whether I actually partake in it or not. So that may be the show that I do on the. Hold on, have I got my dates right? Have I got my dates right? The 21st is a Saturday, surely. Okay, sorry, we're playing Hetafe on the 8th. Okay, yeah, that's right. So basically, I will do a show on the 14th of August, the Friday before, and we might have a vote, poll, or whatever, and we'll decide then whether I enter. But the Fantasy Predictions League will come back, and it will be on the 21st. So the first games will be on the 21st of August. Looking forward to it. I hope you guys are as well. Okay, let me go back to where I was. Graham says, all good heroes, there's still plenty of going on, but okay, we'll sign up for predictions. Graham, isn't it really nice? Because I'm aware that you're in some of the groups and not in some of the groups because we've left some of the groups as well. Isn't it nice to not to have toxicity at the moment? Isn't it so nice not to be toxic at the moment? Archer, don't know what's going on here. Archer says, this woman police officer on this crime network channel I've got on in the background is smoking hot. Archer. Archer watching porn whilst he's watching me. I don't know. I was happy with my second place on the predictions last season. I have to challenge for the title again, says Archer. Fantastic. Right. The other one I wanted to talk about was there's a lot of chat going on at the moment, and everyone's got opinions, which is right. With regards what we're doing with the youth, our youngsters. What are we doing with our youngsters? And it's quite interesting what we're doing with our youngsters. Some are staying, some are going. Yeah, and it's been really, really interesting. Um, So for me, I'm going to say off the bat, right? I've watched Gavi, Pedri, Yamal, Balde, Kabasi, Firmin, all these players for Barca, right? I'm watching Arda Güler, even when he was out in Turkey before he went to Real Madrid. Watched Bellingham at Birmingham before he went to Dortmund. You know, Rio at Liverpool, yeah, Rio at Liverpool. Um, you've got Max Dowman at Arsenal. There are players that come along, right, that can step into men's football and play men's football. Now, and I'm talking about different levels of men's football. Now, for the kind of football that Roberto De Zerbi seems to want to play, we have players like Mikey Moore, Jamie Donnelly, players that in their own right are really good players. But does Mikey Moore, but the person, and well, there's two players actually. The players that have really impressed me so far in pre-season and look like players that can step into men's football, right, and play really decent men's football are Luca Williams Barnett. I think he solves a problem. He can play on the left for me and he can play in the hole behind the striker. I think he solves a problem. Homegrown as well. Yeah, he hasn't got the 3 years to make him academy trained or whatever, but he can get that soon. He, for me, right, regardless of being 17 years of age, he, for me, reminds me of Jude Bellingham when Jude Bellingham was at Birmingham. At the same age, when Jude Bellingham was at Birmingham, this kid reminds me of Jude Bellingham when he was at Birmingham. I just think this kid's got it. I think this kid don't look out of place with men, um, and I think he could do a really good job for Tottenham. I obviously he can't go out on loan because he's only 17, and you can't go on loan till you're 18, so he can't go out on loan. But for me, I would have him in and around the first team squad, and I'd actually play him. I think he's got more about him: pass, technique, half turn. He's got more about him than some of the players that we've got in that first team already. So when I was talking about midfielders earlier, if you needed to bring someone in off the subs bench, then I'd have no qualms in bringing him in. I just think that at the end of the day, we can't look at players and just say move them on, not good enough, not good enough. If they're good enough, give them that opportunity. I'm not saying play him week in, week out, but I'd say give him the opportunity to play. I think he's such a good player. Now, when people were raving about Mikey Moore, and I don't want to piss on Mikey Moore's parade because he's a good player in his own right, but when people were raving about Mikey Moore, um, and Mikey Moore is a good player, right? Mikey Moore is a good player. This Luca Williams Barnett looks levels. He looks levels. And as I said, I'm not messing about. He reminds me of Jude Bellingham when Jude Bellingham was at Birmingham as a 17-year-old playing for men's football in the Championship, which got him his move to to Borussia Dortmund. He is such a good player, and he just doesn't look amiss at all. And the other one who's played really well and surprised me, he played really, really well in the games that I've seen so far, is Malachi Hardy. He surprised me. He looks a good player as well. Composed, decent on the ball. Filled up. He looks like a man as well. But he looks good. He looks good. Um, I've got a feeling that Jamie Donnelly, I've got a feeling that he's going to be sold. I've just got a feeling he's going to be sold. Um, Ash Phillips, Dorrington, Donnelly, Scarlett. Scarlett scored his goal yesterday, but yeah, he's got his goal. He looked a bit clumsy to me yesterday, Scarlett. I think he's another one that could be sold as well. Scarlett. Yeah, some of the youngsters that we've got need to be sold. In all honesty, Roberto De Zerbi did say that we've got to get players coming through the academy. They were his words. He said that they've got to bring players. They've got to bring players through from the academy. I'm just trying to see if I can see his comment, because he did make a comment, and whether it's now on. Is it on there? Let me have a look. Just having a look now. Yeah, we do. I agree. We need a natural pathway. I can't find it now, but he did turn around and say that we need to improve our academy. He did say this I think it might have been after the match yesterday. However, he said we do need to improve our academy, and we do have to bring youngsters through and he referenced um, squad ratio. Squad ratio. He did reference homegrown academy, whatever they call it, homegrown and academy trained or whatever, because you need that for Europe. So they need to address it so they don't fall foul in the coming seasons. So he's already looking at it now, knowing it's a problem now, but because they're not in Europe, they can they're going to try and skirt around it as best they can. But it needs to be rectified for next season onwards if Europe is what you want. So, you know, it looks like look, I look around and I say Chelsea, and I hate using Chelsea, but I Chelsea for years and years, and years and years and years and years. I remember Chelsea over at Battersea Park, yeah, in London. So I used to play football on the Astro at Battersea Park, and right next to us, Chelsea bought one of the pitches beside where we played, and they started their academy football from a young age. They were like 5 years old or whatever, and all the groups played there and trained there. So I would have been playing beside players like Reece James, um, Mason Mount, Ruben Loftus-Cheek. All these players would have been playing beside me. I wouldn't have known who they were, but they would have been kids playing there, right, at the time that I was playing football there. And they started this back in the early 2000s, right? And they ended up, and much maligned because people used to hammer Chelsea for it, they ended up selling players for big, big money, the youngsters who weren't getting a look in or went on loan somewhere. And at one stage, when Chelsea was cooking the books, they had like nearly 50 players out on loan. Now, everyone was snapping and saying, how can they get all this money with players? And we've watched them do it. Recently, we've watched Man City do it. Man City have sold a load of players from their youth team. People like Morgan Rogers, Cole Palmer, Rory Delap, um, Lavia. The list goes on. They've sold loads of their players from their academy, Man City. So Chelsea done it. Man City copied them about 10 years later. Or Man City, no, yeah, Man City probably started doing it between 2-8 and 2-12. Man City started doing it as well, following the Chelsea uh, pattern. And they were both successful, Chelsea and Man City, doing this. Tottenham are starting to do this now, where they're selling their youngsters. Whether they get as much money as what these other clubs got, I don't know. But if they're not going to be good enough, or they haven't got a pathway, or they're not going to make it in the next 2 to 3 years, move them on. Stop the sentimentality. Move them on. Move them on. Get what you can for them. Move them on. I mean, it remains to be seen whether it's going to work for us or not. This 20% buyback clause, matching rights, and stuff like that they're including in their deals. That remains to be seen whether that actually works for us or not. That remains to be seen. But at the end of the day, just do it. Stop the sentimentality and just do it. And sell the players that you don't need. And if people get upset by that, then it's what you want. And yes, we want to see youngsters come through. Yeah, we do want to see youngsters come through, but also you want your team to thrive and your team to do well. And some of the youngsters will be collateral damage for this. They will be collateral damage, and we've got to park sentimentality and look to see what's right for the team and what's right for the team going forward. And right for the team going forward is selling the players at the right time, and that's what we hope. But as I said, let's say hello to some people that just joined. Johnny Fitz, good afternoon, Johnny Fitz. I hope you and the family are well. Nice to see you, mate. Dan, speaking about you earlier, Dan, speaking about the Predict the Football and Fantasy Premier League and all that, and I spoke about you and predictions. But yes, good afternoon, Daniel. I hope you are well, sir. Nice to see you. And Lee, sorry, and I hope your nan's well as well, Dan. And Lee, hello, Lee. I hope you're well, and I hope your mum and dad are well as well. Nice to see you here, Lee. Um, for those that are joining now, just to remind people, it's in the links are in the chat, and the links are in the description of the show. But there we go. Let's find it. There we are. Predict the Premier League. Predict the Football is back. I've had to change the league. I had to restart the league with a new code. So this is the new code now to enter Predict the Football, free of charge. Free of charge if you want to enter it. It works out that you put in your predictions, and computer does everything for you, does all the results, reminds you that you've got to play again and stuff like that. A really good way to have some fun. And then obviously you've got the world leading Barclays Fantasy Premier League. If you haven't entered before and you wish to enter now, there is the code to enter the league for El Tel Cockerel. As I said, they are in the chat, they are in the description of the show, and you are all more than welcome to join. Anybody can join that. Comments. I believe that I've got Mark. One of the Marks is here, isn't he? Yeah. Big up to Mark's show Raiders. Oh, it's Archer. Oh, sorry, Archer says that. Are they raiding from there? I didn't see that message come up to say that they were, but regardless, that's good. Oh yes, look, Marianne's here. Good afternoon, Marianne. I hope you're well. She says 2 marks, Ray. Big up Jose and all in the chat. Good afternoon, Marianne. Ghosted is here. Good afternoon, Ghosted. I hope you're well. Says big up Jose. Good afternoon, Ghosted. I hope you're well. Yeah, we were just talking about the youngsters at the moment, and what your comments and what your thoughts are. But with the youngsters, what I was pointing out just now is that the youngsters that have played in pre-season so far, there's 2 players that have really stood out for me. One more than the other, but they've both stood out. But both played different positions, and the ones that stood out for me are Luca Williams Barnett. This is my personal opinion. I think he's a man already. He's a boy that can play man's football already. He reminds me of Jude Bellingham when Jude Bellingham was 17 and playing for Birmingham. That's how much I think he's got in him already. He reminds me of Jude Bellingham playing for Birmingham in the Championship at 17 years of age. And on the back of that season, Jude Bellingham ended up getting a move to Borussia Dortmund. I think he's absolutely superb. I think you've got to give him a chance. I think he will do well being in the first team. Obviously, you can't loan him out because he's only 17, but he will do well in the first team, being in and amongst it. Whether he's playing off the left, whether he's playing, whether he's playing off the left or whether he's playing behind the striker, I think Luca Williams Barnett is absolutely phenomenal, and it reminds me so much reminds me of Jude Bellingham when he was playing with Birmingham at 17 and then got his move to Borussia Dortmund. That's how much I rate the player. And I was talking about Mikey Moore. Mikey Moore is a very, very good player in his own right, and everyone was raving about Mikey Moore. Mikey Moore was coming through. But with Mikey Moore, I look at Mikey Moore and I look at Luca Williams Barnett, and I just think to myself, do you know what? And I don't want me to be horrible, but for me, there's levels there. And I know that Mikey Moore had a really good season for Rangers in the Scottish Prem, and he was a young player of he's young player of the year in Scotland. But I look at Mikey Moore and I look at Luca Williams Barnett, and I think to myself, who's a better prospect? And I've got to say, for me, Luca Williams Barnett looks totally different gravy to me to Mikey Moore. Although Mikey Moore's a really good player in his own right. Um, and the other one that surprised me a lot is Malachi Hardy. Malachi Hardy, I don't think has put a foot wrong in central defence. I don't think has put a foot wrong at all in what I've seen from him so far in the two friendlies. Doesn't look out of place at all. Good job that we've got no centre halves at the moment because all our defenders were involved in the World Cup. We seem to have uh, the best players were all our defenders in the World Cup. Um, and Malachi Hardy's done a really, really good job. It's probably obviously given them a headache because I can't, I don't even know how old Malachi Hardy is, but I believe that he's young as well. And he's probably another one that can't go out on loan. So when you can't go out on loan, either you're involved with the first team or you got to go back and play for the academy. And I'm not sure the academy's put it this way. Luca Williams Barnett, in the position that he plays, is head and shoulders above anyone in the academy. Head and shoulders. There's no comparison. He's head and shoulders above anyone in the academy. And I think academy football is way, way, way too easy for him. I think he just strolls, walks, and I don't think it benefits him because he's not testing himself. Um, I was talking earlier about Rio at Liverpool, Rio Ngamoa, Max Dowman at Arsenal. These players that are good enough for me already to be involved in first teams and play first team football who couldn't go out on loan last season. Dalman can't go on loan this season either because I think he's still too young to go on loan. Rio couldn't go on loan last season because he was only 17 from Liverpool. So, and he got involved in as you get coming on and playing on the left hand side. Hardy's 18, is he now, Ronnie? Okay, so if Hardy's 18, then he can get a loan. But he just looks a really good player. Didn't know much about him. Heard his name before in the past. Didn't know much about him. Watched him play the last couple of games, and yeah, he looks a really good player. A really handy player. I don't even know if centre half is his position, but he looks really good and solid there. But yeah, for me, Luca Williams Barnett has got it. Luca Williams Barnett, I would say keep him in the first team. You couldn't, throw him in on left wing, throw him in the 10 role. I'd play him, give him opportunities. I think he'd be a good rotation. I'm not saying play him week in, week out. You don't want to destroy a player before they start. But yeah, he's a really good player. So hence my thumbnail that I did had, well, it's meant to be Luca Williams Barnett, but I think they kept picking the wrong player for me. That chat GBT kept picking the wrong player for me. But that's who it was meant to be with a question mark. Um, yeah, also we were talking about, for those that have just joined, we were talking about, or I was talking about the pre-season and Tottenham doing things differently this year, whereby we played a game of football yesterday and the first team players in the second half. I mean, I didn't watch the game, but I went to look at the substitutions and I saw that what's his name, Mateus Fernandez played, came on in the second half. Not straight away. They came on like quite late in the second half, but he came on. Gallagher came on. Tell came on. Richarlison came on. So quite a few of the first team players didn't get any action yesterday. And with Madison and Adogi doing their own training and not being involved but doing their own personal training, although some people are now saying that Adogi's injured again and that's why he's been training separately. But it looks like the medical team and the Deserbi, whatever they're doing, they're easing players back in with their own programs. And even the players that played yesterday have obviously got their own programs. They haven't done it like job lot, say, we've got a friendly today and we're going to play everybody. Yeah, they haven't done that. They've played some players some minutes here and some minutes there. So it looks like every individual player has got their individual program. Um, kudos. Kudos will be back as soon as so Kudos would be back and probably get involved in the Getafe game, which is on the 8th of August, 13 days time, because when the Tottenham squad return from the Australia and New Zealand, which will be after next weekend, I think it's after the Chelsea game. Yeah, so we've got a game on Wednesday against Sydney, I think it is, and then next Saturday we play Chelsea, and then we fly back, and then the following week we play Getafe behind closed doors, I think it is, or at the training ground. I think that Kudos will be involved for then, or will be around the team then when they return back. I fully expect Tottenham to start making some movements to get some more players in before the Getafe game. So I'd say where we've kept our powder dry for the last 3 weeks and the last 3 weeks since I last did a show, I think that Tottenham will make moves in the next 2 weeks. I think they will try and bring in what they need to bring in the next 2 weeks, if possible, so these people get some sort of a pre-season and they're ready for us for the first game at Brentford. That's my thoughts and my opinions on that. Who we got? We've got some more comments saying Joe Beasley's here. Good afternoon, Joe. I hope you're well, sir. I hope you're well. Come on, you Spurs 1882. Good afternoon to you. Says too much, bro. Show rating. Good afternoon, everyone. Good performance on the last game by the youngsters. Luca Williams, Barnett, and Donnelly and Hall played well today. Hope we get to see some more of them through the season. I'll be honest. I didn't watch the game. I did not get up at 4 o'clock in the morning, start before till 4 in the morning to watch the game. I've only seen the highlights this morning. So I'm only speaking on the highlights that I saw. And the highlights were about 9 minutes long, and they showed near misses for both the other team and for Tottenham. So I'm only going by what I saw, but I did watch the MK Dons game. Ghosted, just enter anyway. Enter anyway, Ghosted. I think you'll do well because it reminds you all the time. By entering, it reminds you all the time. Archer says Rio is quality. Didn't Arsenal get Rio from Chelsea or Arsenal? I believe it might have been Chelsea. I think. Don't quote me, but I think it might have been Chelsea. Yeah, that's not bad at all, Surreal. I just always forgot. So pointless for me. No, come and play. Hope Robertson. I hope Robertson. I'd sell a doggy. Way too injury prone, unfortunately for us. Can't get a run again before he gets injured again. So I would sell him. Ooh. Ghosted also says, your doggy won't stay fit long enough to play more than Robbo. Interesting. Well, we have signed players to play in these positions, so we should have cover there. One more, I'm going to pitch it again. There's Predict the Prem and the code. The links there in the chat. It's also in the description. This is all done by a third party company, so it reminds you about the fixtures. It tells you what points you've scored and that. So it's all self-serving, but it does remind you every week where you are, what you got to do. Well worth entering. It's good fun. It's predictions for Premiership games only. And then we have also the Fantasy Premier League, the Barclays Fantasy Premier League, where you pick a squad and you pick your wits on goals, assists, clean sheets, and so on and so forth. To enter the Hotel Cockerel one, the code is also there. Once more, it's free of charge. Don't have to pay anything to enter it. It also prompts you by telling you got how many points you scored each week. It's self-serving again, but also yeah, it is good fun. And then obviously we've got our own predictions league that we do live, and that will kick off on the 21st of August. But for that, you need to be a member. If you're a member, then you're in, because we keep that to members only, keep it quite personal on here to members only. So you're more than welcome to become a member and enter that if you're not a member already. Offer Palace Richie and 40 of 50 million for Mateta and Sarr. Then go to Juventus and offer Vicario for 50 mil. Vicario plus 50 mil for Yildiz. Wow. The Mateta and Sarr, whether I like them or not, would make sense. Because, like I said, I think Tottenham are going down this route, right? And they've pre-planned it. Anytime I hear of any players that we're linked with, any names that are linked with away from the Premiership, I'm suspect on it because the evidence and the proof for me, it's my opinion, for the evidence and proof so far for me is that we are looking for Premiership proven players. The only way that I see us falling outside the Premiership proven player is if we exhaust the list of that we've got for the Premiership proven players and we can't get them players. Only then can I see us possibly, and that's very possibly going outside to buy players from other teams. Sorry, from outside of the Premiership. Can I ask a favour? Can I ask people to hit the like button? I'm only on 33 likes, so I'm going to try and get that to 50. If you can hit the like button, it'd be well appreciated. Subscribe, become a member, do all that, comment, share, do everything. Um, Bird on the Banjo, good afternoon, nice to see you, or good evening, I don't know what part of the world you're in, but it says Gibbs White, Croupy Jr., Alex Scott, please, and thank you. Bird on the Banjo, I don't know whether you got this on playback or whether you are listening live, but I was saying earlier that I felt, and this is my own opinion only, nothing, I'm not copying, this is my opinion. My thoughts are that if we start with Tonali, Fernandes, and let's say Maddison as your free midfield, I've got a fear at the moment that the way that Roberto De Zerbi wants to play his football, right? If you had to substitute them, that triangular three there, who do you substitute them with? What three? And do you get a major drop off? And I fear that we would do. I think we get a major drop off in the way that we play football. Um, so, it's Bird on a Banjo. You're just outside of Hertfordshire. Whereabouts in Hertfordshire are you, Bird on a Banjo? I'm interested. I'm interested. Just tuned in and new sub. Thank you very much, Bird on a Banjo. Bird on a Banjo. If you've just joined Bird on a Banjo and you just tuned in, within the chat itself, or we've got a couple of games that we play here that I'm promoting, free of charge, all online, self-serving. So you do it all yourself, and then the online reminds you, and yeah, you go on from there. But you've got Premier League football, predicttheprem.com, and there's a code free to enter, and it's in the chat, it's in the description as well. And also we do fantasy, the famous Barclays Fantasy Premier League .com game, and there's a code to enter. Pick your side, pit your wits against the other people. But they're both in the description of the show. They're both in the chat. You're more than welcome to join it free of charge. No, the reason why I asked Bird on a Banjo is that I work in Hertfordshire. I work in Hertfordshire. That's the only reason why I'm saying. But if you're saying you're just outside of Hertfordshire, then you're probably in one of the boroughs. You're not in Hertfordshire, then, are you? But I work in Hertfordshire. Is the only reason why I was asking whereabouts. But yeah, as I said, to me, I did say earlier that there'll be a major drop off. Now, if we could raise, or sorry, if we had another 300, people are saying, now whether this is true or not, because I'm not in Tottenham, I'm not part of the finances, people are saying that we're willing to spend another 250, or we've got another 250 mil to spend, right? So for me, I'm just looking at, or what I said earlier, so this is interesting what your comment was, because what I said earlier was, if we can raise 320 million, and which is, if we've got 250 million at the moment, if we have, and we have to raise a further 70 million, if we can do that and we get about 320 million, I would go for Alex Scott, Morgan Gibbs White, Croupy, and even Savigno. 4 Premiership proven players. But then what you do is you don't get the drop off from the midfield. You're bringing in players that can play the type of football that Mr. De Zerbi wants to play, and that will fit that system. So whatever three you put in, there won't be a drop off. If you had to replace the 3, there wouldn't be a drop off, so to speak. And the football, you can still maintain the football he wants to play. Where I don't think we've got the midfielders to do that at the moment. You either play one way or you play another way, is the way that I'm looking at the moment. And then obviously, yeah, we have to improve the attack. We have to improve the attack as well. But again, all 4 players that I've just mentioned are all Premiership proven. Where my belief is that we are looking, the facts and the evidence show me that we are looking at Premiership proven players. From the players that we've bought so far, we are looking at Prem proven. And I believe that we will continue to look at Prem proven players. We might even look at, because even De Zerbi last night or this morning in a press conference turned around and said himself that we need to improve the academy. We need to improve the homegrown and academy trained or academy affiliated or club affiliated players. We need to improve that going forward. So, at the end of the day, um, at the end of the day, we have to wait and see what happens. But I think that you will go for improving players. The only way that we go outside the Premiership is if you don't get the players that you're looking for, and we don't know. There's a lot of we're looking for this, we're looking for that, we're looking for this, we're looking for that. Then there's a load of people that are saying that we are looking at certain players. However, at looking at them certain players, I think that the only way that we go outside of the Premiership is if we don't get the targets that we want to get in the Premiership. So when we're being linked with someone like Liao Nusa, for instance, well, if we don't get the people that we're linked with and the players in the Premiership, then we might have to look elsewhere. And then for me, them links become more valid, if that makes sense. So when you're talking about forwards, and at the moment it's only Krupi that's been talked about at the moment, but then I've also seen online people talking about Vlahovic, and there was another player abroad, Agahawa, who plays out in Portugal. For me, is if Krupi's not obtainable and they got no other people on their list for the forward position, they're not obtainable, then then it'd be plausible that you can look at some of the players from other leagues. But my feelings are, looking on the facts so far, is that we will be looking for Premiership proven players going forward. So yeah, so there we go. What's he saying? I'm pumped for the FPL this season. I reckon I will improve on my 500k rank out of around 12 million players. Well done, you. You've been swatting up, man, Archer. You've been swatting up. Come on, you Spurs says Savinho isn't proving yet. Hasn't had the game time to prove himself. I personally walk away from that deal, Jose. Sorry, mate. Whether it's the right or the wrong deal, I'm just saying that for me, it's the players that we're being linked with. Oh, sorry, the players that we've bought in all Prem proven. So if we're linked to any Prem players, then I'd rather trust them links than trust foreign player links for players that are playing outside of the Premiership, unless they're playing outside of the Premiership and they have already got Premiership experience because they've played it before. Then I'd rather, if I'm gonna believe, and I'm not going to do any research, which I do research, then I prefer the links to Prem players rather than links to the foreign players, if that makes any sense. Bird on the Banjo says, I don't think there are many better targets. Perhaps we can see that Ego Thiago at Brentford. See, Ego Thiago, whether people like him or not, he's another one that's Premiership proven. So Tom Kingdom says that he's Hearts based. Same as me, mate. Same as me. Ronnie says, take Morgan Gibbs White, Savinho Krupi. I just don't see the hype for Scott. Good footballer, keeps the ball well. He's a very good footballer, but and he moves the ball. He can play in all the positions, and he moves the ball. But yeah, each to their own. Everyone's got an opinion. I'm just saying that Scott and Morgan Gibbs White bolster your midfield options. De Zerbi style football would remain. Drop off wouldn't be as great, and both English, which we're having problems with these people. Come on, you Spurs says Matikadze from Sevilla is both-footed and strong, plus made it to the French league and now doing the business in the Spanish league. But he does like to play in a two up front. Bird on a banjo says Ego Thiago, 6'3", 25 years old, and basically scores 1 in 2 throughout his career. So far, he's got 22 and 46 last season. Yeah, I'm not disputing it. As I said, all the players. All I'm saying is my opinion is all the players that we're linked with. If we're linked with any players from outside the Prem, I'm skeptical because I think that we're going for Prem proven. So I'm skeptical. If we're linked with players that play in the Premiership, then I think to myself there might be a little bit more in it because that's what we're looking for. He'd do for a few years alongside Solanke. We'd have two irons in the fire, as the case would be, hoping one comes good. Yeah, I was saying earlier that we need to move players on as well. We need to move players on. I like the fact that Tottenham went in early, bought 6 players early without getting rid of players and that. We went in early, we bought 6 players. We didn't care whether they sold players or not. We bought them in to improve the team squad, whatever you want to call it, to improve it, and whatever happens, whatever chips fall the other way, further on in the the transfer season, the transfer window would happen. So I like the fact they went and bought the players. Now we've still got players there, so we went out and bought a goalkeeper. We still got Vicario. We went out and bought centre halves. We still got Romero. You know, we went out and bought midfielders. We still got certain midfielders at the club. I I am happy that we've gone out and done that business. And as I said, for me, my thoughts are that, and I'm, as I said, I'm not associated to the club other than I'm a supporter, the same as you guys, right? But my thought process says to me that some players have already been spoken to, and they've been said, look, you're not going to get, you don't fit in my plans, or look, you're not going to get that much game time. You're better off, or consider your options. And if you do that, then it's only players that I call social media players are the ones that won't care and will just want to sit and rot. And social media players are players like Dele Alli, um, what's his name, Jesse Lingard, players like that decided to sit and rot in the clubs that they were at and wasted their talents and were social media players. Uh, Someone like Richie, I was saying earlier that someone like Richie, if Richie's got pride in himself, and look, I'm not the manager for Brazil, but if he had any intention of making that Brazil squad again, whether he's good enough or not, that's down to the manager that picks the squads. But if I had any intention, and I was gutted about missing out on the World Cup, and I felt that I was good enough to make the squads going forward, then I know that I've got to be playing week in, week out. So why would I want to stay and sit on a bench when I've been told I'm not part of the plans? Or has he been told he is part of the plans? Because it's interesting, you've got quite a few players. He's taken a whole squad out there of 35 players, and we know straight away, or you'd be a mad person to say that out of the 35 that he's taken on tour, that the 35 are going to remain with the club this season, because they're not. So, at the end of the day, um, I would like us just to go and buy some players and then move players on afterwards, because you've already spoken to players, you've already told them whether they fit in your plans or not. So yeah, just let them go. But go and buy your players. I really am hoping that I'm right, that we are going to start making moves and that we will sign more players by the time we play Getafe in 13 days' time, because that's what my thoughts are. Because we can see how woefully short we are in the front forward lines, and for me, I still think we're woefully short in midfield, in the sense of, and my only sense is that if you're going to play like for like, then there's going to be a drop off, because 3 that you'd replace with a triangle at the moment wouldn't be the same quality and wouldn't play the same football for you. So, and I'm just saying, think about it. If you had to replace Fernandes, Tonali, and Madison, they were a triangle 3 that you've got in midfield. What 3 would replace them, and what level would they be? Would it be a lower level? Would you be playing different football with the kind of players that we've got? So with your Gallaghers, your Sars, your Bergvaus, and your Bentancurs, is there going to be a drop off? Will you be able to play the same football as if you had them other 3 that are starting the game for you? Um, can I ask you all a favour? And I'm going to ask, if you're new to the channel, please subscribe, hit the like button. The like button's free of charge, right? And if you hit the like button, I can try. I was going to try and get to 50, and I'm currently on 36, with 30 odd people watching at the moment. So some people might have come and gone already, but if some are here that haven't hit the like button, it'd be appreciated if you could do so. I rate Abdi at Real Betis, says Dan. Again, yeah, there's a lot of players out there that are really good players. I'm not saying they're not, but I've just got a feeling that Tottenham are going down this route of looking for Premiership proven players. And if they can't then get them, then that's when they'll start looking at Carlos Kickable and his cousin Johnny Kickable and stuff like that from abroad. Come on, you Spurs says, offer Richie plus cash in any striker deals. I reckon. Do people want to take Richie? That's the thing. Bernard Banjo says, if we sign 2 scary wingers, like break the bank 120 million apiece, I think Solanke or Richie could do a job for a year between them up top till Kane returns next year. Another one, Harry Kane returning, eh? Archer says, yeah, such a shame what happened to Dele Alli. he could have been a better version of Frank Lampard if he didn't get so distracted. Come on, Spurs says, as much as I love Kane, we need to move on from him now, in my opinion. The other thing I will say for people that are new to this channel is that I do try to read out all the comments. So I do try to make you heard verbally or orally heard, as well as what you've written in. Bernard Badger says we have one game a week, and if we finish top 10, you'd say it's a massive step in the right direction. With another big summer, we'd be ready to challenge. Do you know what? I think if we bought 4 more players in the midfield and forward lines, 4 more players, I think we'd be a bit high, a lot higher than 10th place. I'd have us comfortably in the top 7 if we bought another 4 players. But like I said earlier in the show, Tottenham did business early by bringing in 6 players, but Tottenham did that, and Tottenham are chasing teams above them that finished above them by improving the squad. However, other teams that finished above us, and we finished 17th, they were yet to improve their squads. So it's all to play for now. So you can't stop where you are now. You've got to carry on improving. In order to catch up to those that finished above you, you need to carry on improving. And improving, I hope we do. Instead of 2 players, as I said, another 4. If we bought another 4 players in, if we bought another midfielder and 3 strikers, or another 2 strikers and another 2 midfielders, I would say we would finish a lot higher than would finish in the top 7. Fair 1882. I feel halfway to. I'll take Haaland next year then maybe. Curry Spurs says, I take any position that's better than the bottom half for this season and a good cup run and hopefully win a cup. Yeah, wouldn't we all? Wouldn't we all? And then also then turns around and says, let's go get R9 Rivaldo and Ronaldinho back out of retirement. Fantastic. And I forgot, and it's my fault, but Jess just popped in and just flashed her member badge saying that she's been a member for 22 months. Thank you very much for your continued support, Jess. I hope you, Miss Biddy, and Ari are well, and I hope everyone over at the channel that shares your lovely screen are all well as well. Yeah, I think that we've come to the end of the show. Unless you lot have got any questions, I had some questions here that I started earlier that I'm going to answer. Some were football related, some weren't. Where are they? It was 3, right? So Dad's asked me, so I'm going to answer. Who do you think, off topic, will be the Test captain now? Um, if it's not Joe Root for the time being while they're still selecting someone, then it will be an all-rounder that comes in. Someone like Sam Curran, I would have thought, could be captain material. But it's a difficult one because they've got to find a manager first of all, isn't they? They've got to find a head coach because the New Zealand fellows stepped down. He's been dropped as a Test match manager, so they'll have to find a manager as well. So it's quite a hard one to answer that, mate. Daz says, Jose, do you think Rio Liverpool should have been called up? I've got to say is that you look at the World Cup, you look at someone like Arda Güler at Turkey. Bellingham was called up when in the last World Cup he played, didn't he? And look at Bellingham now; he's only 23. You've got Yamal, obviously. You've got Kabasi. You've got Gavi. You've got Pedri for Spain. You've got the young boy for Mexico who's only 17. To me, if you're good enough and you have good people around you, right? If you have good people around you and good pros to learn off, then there's no reason why you shouldn't bring players into that environment. That's what I'm talking about, Luca Williams-Barnett. If we're getting rid of people supposedly that were toxic and that weren't good in the background, then it's interesting that I would play Luca. Like I said earlier, Luca Williams-Barnett for me, I'd keep in the first team. I'd get him in amongst the players, a good bunch of players there, and he could learn a lot of them. And you could learn off players. So look, as I said, yeah. So with Rio, if he carries on and he has first team football this season and he carries on getting minutes and stuff like that, then there's no reason why you can't look at people like Rio, Max Dowman, and people like that being the future of England going forward. You know, it looks like, you know, at the end of the day, you know, it's. You said in the chat, Graham. I don't know. Can you not go to the top of the chat if you can't? What one are you looking for? Fantasy code. Okay. Um, let me just get it again. If you it only goes so far. If you go to see, is it good? If you're good enough and you've got people around you, then do it. Simple as. That's all I'm saying. Right, there's one there, and the other one is there. Sorry, Graham just asked for something, and I'm doing it now. Right, they're both there, Graham. I hope you can see them both. So yeah, I would have given him the chance. I'd give anyone a chance if you're good enough and you've got good people around you. I think you deserve a chance, and that includes Luca Williams Barnett for me. Um, Sice then asked me, "What do you think is the closest league to the Prem, the Bundesliga?" Yeah, for physicality. And yeah, the Bundesliga would be because it's Bundesliga is probably quicker than Spanish football. It's quicker than Italian football. It's quicker than French football. So yeah, I'd say yeah, the Bundesliga uh, is probably yeah the closest I can see. Um, there you go, Lee. You got a sub. Says hi, Lee. Sub to your channel earlier. Look forward to seeing your content. Says Bird on the Banjo. Um, Jose, could you name your best Spurs starting 11 of all time off the bat instinct? Yeah, Pat Jennings in goal. Right back is Walker. Left back, Cliff Jones. Centre backs, Ledley King and Sol Campbell. My midfield would be Hoddle, Gascoigne, Bale, and Ginola. And up front, it's Harry Kane and Teddy Sheringham. That's sorry. It's either Harry Kane and Teddy Sheringham or Harry Kane and Jimmy Greaves. I only just saw Jimmy Greaves play. I was young, just saw Jimmy Greaves, but it's the right tail end of his career. So I only saw a little bit of him. He wasn't at Tottenham at the time, and I only saw a tiny bit of him. Right, he was finishing his career as I was young then, 5, 6, 7, 8 years of age, and he was finishing his career. So I'd say Harry Kane and Sheringham, but honourable mentions go out to Moussa Dembele, Jimmy Greaves, Jurgen Klinsmann, Jan Vertonghen, Steve Perryman, and Ray Clements. I'm going to throw Ray Clements in there as well. But yeah, that's what I'm doing off the bat. I'm sure people have different opinions to that. Come on, you Spurs says, great show, Jose. Keep it up, mate. Thanks. Chat, speak again soon. Stay safe, everyone. And as always, come on, you Spurs. Yeah, I dropped them in there. No, Bud, I have to pick it on footballing ability alone. I'm picking it on footballing ability alone. Forgetting about what happened and that. As a centre half, Sol Campbell as a centre half, and I'm putting all that stuff aside. Just looking at it purely as a football, and on football, the two best centre halves I've seen at Tottenham, just because you couldn't get past them. Both man to man marking Sol Campbell, couldn't get past him at all, man to man marking. And Ledley King was absolutely supreme. You couldn't get past Ledley, and he was sublime on the ball, and they would be a perfect foil for each other. I'm talking football alone. I'm not talking about the politics, what happened, or anything like that. If I'm just looking at football solely alone, that's why I'm picking him. Um, Otherwise, Yeah, otherwise I wouldn't select him. But it's only that I'm looking at football. I'm looking at just football alone and putting the politics aside. Archer says, Jose, Jimmy Greaves was my granddad's favourite ever player. He had a Chelsea season ticket in the 50s, 60s, and 70s, but stopped going in the 80s due to hooligans. Archer, I can relate to that because I used to go to Chelsea because that's where I grew up in the Chelsea area, and I used to go to Stamford Bridge when I used to have the old greyhound track. Used to be they used to have the old track beside the pitch, and you were miles away, miles from the stand. And that I used to go and watch them when they were in second division when they had people like John Bumstead, Kerry Dixon, uh, a very young Ray Wilkins and Graham Wilkins, Mickey Droy. Um, yeah, I used to go and watch them because on a Saturday afternoon, I lived in central London. On a Saturday afternoon, we'd play football in the cage, me and my mates, and then we'd all see how much money we had together. At 1 o'clock, we'd all make a decision, stop playing football at one, go and get a drink from the shop, and then all make a decision on who, with our pennies that we had, and if anyone was short, we'd give them the money. But we'd all make sure, and we used to jump on an underground, and we used to get them little yellow tickets from the machine. There used to be machines in the underground back then. Used to get little yellow tickets, and we used to go and watch uh, Tottenham, Arsenal, Chelsea, Leyton Orient, Fulham, QPR, whoever it took us, whoever was playing at home, and we could get to the ground and we had enough money. It's a decent game. We'd go and watch it. So yes, I watched quite a bit of Chelsea as I was local to the area. People, thank you very much for watching. I hope that I've answered all your comments. I've read out all your comments. It's really nice to see you all here today. I wish you all a fantastic weekend or remainder of the weekend. I wish you all a great week. And until we next see each other, Archer says in the World Cup in 1966, it would have been Jimmy Greaves that scored the hat trick in the final instead of Jeff Hurst. If he wasn't into, well, things happen for a reason. He got a medal eventually because I only used to give out medals. They didn't give out medals to everyone back then, but he did get a medal eventually. And yeah, the rest is history. They won the World Cup. So with or without him, they did win the World Cup. But thank you, everyone. Take care of yourselves. Like I said, like, subscribe if you can. Like, simple. Share, comment. Even after the show, if there's things that you haven't agreed with, or you've got your own takes, then please share. I'm not right. I just share what my thoughts are. I know my own thoughts. So, but thank you very much, everyone. I hope you all have a really, really good week. And I will catch up with you all very, very soon.
Tell, Cockerel. He's just a true guy. You'll have a true time. Tell, Cockerel. Leave your troubles at the door. You know the game, you know the score. We're here to have fun, so holster that gun and read the writing on the wall. The predictions league, done every week. It just goes on and 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 on. Why do I always get it wrong? Tell, Cockerel. He's just a chill guy. You'll have a chill time. Tell, Cockerel. Jose gets himself around. Always talking Spurs, wherever he is found, home or away. He always tips to win, throws the form book in the bin with a cheeky knowing grin. Tell, Cockerel. He's just a chill guy. You'll have a chill time. Tell, Cockerel. The predictions league, done every week. It just goes on and on and on and on. Why do I always get it wrong? Every time I play along. El Tel Cockerel. The show is so chilled. Your time is well filled. If you want good friendly chat, then here's where it's at. El Tel Cockerel. It just goes on and 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 on. Why do I always get it wrong? El Tel Cockerel. The show is so chill. Your time is well filled. If you want good friendly chat, then here's where it's at. El